Did the entire market structure reverse overnight? Altcoins en masse have given back most of their gains with one move from Bitcoin, and many are left holding bags wondering, but they said it was going to be different this time. The altcoins that continued their bullish activity into the morning hours have largely given up the ghost as Bitcoin makes its second move in less than 12 hours, this time a little bit more northwards. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo launches a DLT solution. We talk about crypto hacks, and in today's episode, we're going to focus on trading psychology and knowing when it's too late to enter into a trade today in Breaking Bitcoin. Welcome, guys, to Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live here in the studio Thursday, September 19th, 2019. Your daily source for market updates, sentiment, and news for traders. My name is Justin Wise, lead analyst at crackingcryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic today, wherever you happen to be tuning in from, and whether you're watching us from across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or of course on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. If you want to support the show, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, and engage in the live chat and hit the thumbs up button. We've got a fantastic show for you today. We're going to start off with a word from our sponsors. Of course, that is the Kraken Cryptocurrency Premium Trading Group. If you are an aspiring trader or an experienced trader looking to sharpen your skills and you want to work with a team with a proven track record of verifiable edge and statistical probability, head over to premium.krakencryptocurrency.com to learn our rules and use our tools. I had to think about that for a second. I thought I switched it up there. Anyways, all right, guys, we've got such a good show for you today. We're going to talk about so much. Let's not waste one moment because life is precious. Let's get over and give away some crypto and get into the markets, guys. So without further ado, howdy, howdy, howdy. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic today. We're going to start off. I want to thank this month's crypto comment giveaway sponsor, Spectre Security Coin. You make sure to go check them out at spectresecurity.io, and we are going to be giving away 8,000 Spectre every day. Thank you guys so much. Let me just real quickly, sorry about this. Got to go grab yesterday's URL and pop that baby right in there. Let's check out the comments. We've got 7 potential winners. You guys are really slowing down on the comments. Am I not saying interesting things? Just let me know your questions, guys. I try to respond within 48 hours. Let's randomly pick a winner. Come on. Do something for me, baby. Nothing's happening. Let's refresh the page. Let's try it again. Ankit Donraj, he said 3 months ago, you said we are in a bull run. Well, I'd say that we've been pretty bullish 3 months ago. So I don't know if that's a positive or a criticism, but thank you, man. I know you're a regular follower of the channel, so thank you for pointing that out, and thank you for participating. Make sure to hit me up in the Discord at JustinWise5696. Now we'll tip you some crypto. What you're going to be referring to is, of course, the weekly crossover. So let's go over to the chart and talk about some other things that are happening. Let's go right here. Now, as you guys can see, I've simplified the layout a little bit. One of the most common requests from individuals was, yo, man, can you please make the chart more visible on your stream? So I've attempted to do that. Let me know what you guys think. This is the scene where we spend most of our time in as a community and as a live stream. So hopefully this is a little bit more conducive to viewing the charts and viewing everything that I'm talking about. So let me know what you guys think. All right. Now, Mr. Ether says, I would have won for Kendi. Seafair Crypto says, I normally watch your analysis. It makes my portfolio green. Well, thank you very much, man. Highly appreciated. Ken had a limit order sitting at 95.50. The low was 95.79. You don't gotta tell me it happens all the time. I see K7, Jixer, Da Vinci, Mr. Hut, Ferguson, Tim, Crypto Live, Ken, Seafarer Crypto, Agency. What's going on, guys? Good to see you. And of course, the one, the only, Mr. Ether. Make sure to go check him out on Twitter. How are you doing with that XRP competition, my man? I responded back to you earlier last night, actually. So let's talk about last night. So I just got off the horn. I'm not sure what they call him. He's across the pond. Maybe they call it the telly. What do they call it? What do they call the telephone? The blower? Yeah, I think they call it the blower over there across the pond. Anyways, I was in a video chat with one of my friends and a student of mine, and we were talking about the activities last night, and I was relaying to him because last night was a little bit unusual. So I did my evening scan as I normally do. I put on a few new trades. And I went to kind of have an early bedtime last night. So I logged off the computer, did my evening scan, made sure everything was good. Did a little rebalancing of my portfolio last night because I had adequate time to do that. Finished up a little bit of video editing, and I was good. I was heading to bed. So I looked at the time. It was around, I want to say it was around, 8:30. And I said, okay, I'm going to go unwind with like a half hour of video games before I go to sleep. So I go into my den and I boot up Final Fantasy 15, and I'm going to play this for about a half hour, and then I'm going to go to sleep. And I just sit down, I pick up the controller. I'm like, all right, cool. I only get to do this like twice a month, so let's go. And my phone goes off. Alert on my phone goes off, TradingView alert. And I look at it and I'm like, okay, it says Neo USDT stop loss. I'm like, okay. Now, Neo USDT was a long trade that I had entered into, had already taken profit at TP1, and had set my stop loss at break even. And so the stop loss at break even is about one a daily ATR away. So I thought to myself, well, I immediately acted. I had to come back into the room because not just Neo just didn't decide to fall off a cliff, right? Didn't fall off a cliff in solo, so I knew something was happening in the market as I was preparing for bed. So I come back, I see the large movement happening from Bitcoin, and I push the red button because I knew, and I had alluded to this yesterday. When I ended the stream yesterday, I said, I'm going to go ahead and hold my altcoins, but there's something about Bitcoin. And actually, yesterday, I was assuming that the decline in altcoins would be coming from a bullish movement off of the daily baseline from Bitcoin. And that's not what happened. We actually had a depreciating movement. We had a down movement from Bitcoin that caused the movement. But just, as I was talking about yesterday, whenever we get a large movement from Bitcoin, a large movement from Bitcoin is going to throw everything out of the water. And that's exactly what happened last night. Now, usually I won't take large action, but when you see the entire market moving, you have to take action. So the signals that I posted, luckily enough, the 3 trades that we put on last night, I felt that the market was overextended anyways. And I had hopes that it would continue. You never know how long a trend can go and how long a trend can sustain itself. But we had locked in all our profitable trades with a stop loss at break even, 2 trades with a trailing stop loss because they had reached those qualifications. And the 3 trades that we put on last night, we put on at 1/3 risk. So all those 3 trades we put on last night, we had to close out in the red. And I acted quickly enough to be able to close every trade out in greater profit. I didn't have to let them come down and hit my break even stop loss. So I was able to get out with quite good profit on those. Made about 1 ATR, a little bit more on average for the majority of my open alt trades. But all those are closed out. And what I did immediately was I didn't short Bitcoin. I've been short Bitcoin, but only in a hedge, right? So I added the profit that I made off of my altcoin trades to my short hedge. So I'm sitting completely flat in equity. Now that's my trading portfolio. As far as my investment portfolio, nothing changed, nothing made that maneuver. In fact, as we continue to move forward here a little bit more, there are some altcoins that I'm looking at picking up and adding to my portfolio. Of course, I've already talked about the coins that I do hold, pretty much the only coins. I only invest in things that I think have a purpose or future or vision. And I try not to focus on that too much because I think that so many people get caught up with that. So many people have been hurt more from the invest in altcoins and buy and hold altcoins, mentality, because that's the mentality that sold down the river to retail traders. That's the mentality that sold down the river to retail traders. Buy up these altcoins, hold them for a long time. You want to buy these altcoins because you saw them pump up 1,000% and you want to see the exact same thing happen to you. And you've got a lot of people that run around and kind of make a living, Palm Beach, off of selling these, you missed the boat FOMO investment strategies and mentalities or courses or whatever they're trying to tell you. That's not a systems trader. So anyways, let's that's the action I took. I'm actually flat right now. I'm not long nor short on Bitcoin. So let's go and look at the daily chart, and we'll start to work our way down with what we can do today. All right, so here on the daily time frame. Now, this has obviously changed quite a bit over the last few hours of the morning, as we do see on the lower time frames quite a bullish movement coming in from Bitcoin. We are below the 30-period Donchian. We'd already been below the 30-period Donchian for a while. Or excuse me, we had already been below the 13 EMA on the daily for a while, which was obviously originally the baseline that we had talked about and utilized and explained to people. But as I have been saying over the course of this week, it's come to my attention that a lot of people, especially it's mostly for the viewers on the stream and for the newer members, the newer students in the course, because the newer the individual students of mine that have been with me for a long time and that are pretty well versed in PTP, they've already gone through all the testing and developed their own baseline, so they don't need me to tell them. So when I say, we're below the daily baseline, those system traders that I've taught are watching me saying, yeah, not my baseline, or I'm using a different indicator, so it doesn't matter. And that's exactly what I want people. That's exactly how I want to teach people. I don't want people just copy pasting the exact same indicators that I use, although I do give access to them. I want people to understand how to build a trading system. And that's I think what I do differently than most people. So now we are below. We are on the Bitstamp chart. Now let's, cool. I just wanted to make sure we had everything here. Now, interestingly enough, now prior to, and this is exactly what I posted this morning to the members, prior to this movement to the upside, we would have had a qualifying candle from Wadatar Explosion. There's actually a powerful signal coming in from Wadatar Explosion. Now that has changed because we've backtracked up quite a bit on Bitcoin's price action right now. But even when, so around this morning, around 8 o'clock in the morning, when I first made my first post this morning, I said, I'm not going to be shorting Bitcoin at the daily close tonight. The reason why is pretty simple. It's objective. We had our actual full short signal 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago now, and that is outside of my 3-bar rule. So we cannot take the trade to the downside. We have to wait for the indicator to reset and give us a natural short signal. Just because we close below the baseline does not mean that we want to be going full risk short. However, it is an indication to be hedged up and wait for a strong directional signal. And I'll talk about price action. I'll talk about chart patterns here in just a little bit. I can see those questions coming in. So for me, the movement right now is just to stay absolutely hedged. And what I find quite interesting is that is pretty congruent with what, actually we're gonna have to go to the Coinbase chart to see this. That's pretty congruent with, I deleted all these drawings because they're nonsense. That's pretty congruent with what the rest of the market at large is going to be looking for. Again, as I've talked about, the most popular pattern or the most popular way that people are framing this price action right now is in the form of a chart pattern. And again, it depends on who you talk to, what this chart pattern is. If you have a bearish bias, this is a descending triangle. If you have a bullish bias, this is a bullish pennant. And so when I see half of people saying one thing and half of people saying one thing, well, that lets me know that obviously, this is the reason why I'm a systems trader as opposed to a chart patterns trader, because I do not like subjectivity in my trading. I like clear objective signals, because that way you can actually obtain long-term data. I've talked about that at length, why I'm a systems trader as opposed to any other type of trader. But I will call, I do have to observe, and I've said this multiple times, how this current price action is playing out well into this meme pattern. But again, I want to caution you guys about something, because you had no pattern. This is maybe adding a little bit of nuance to what most people will say. So if you look at this, what I've drawn on the screen, it seems pretty clear cut. You've got this pattern, and one might say to themselves, well, how could I have missed this? Why would I not just trade this? Well, the reality is you did not have a pattern until right around here. Okay. In fact, on the downswing, because you had to have confirmation that this was a local top, right? When price reaches resistance and then turns back around. So you would have only been able to trade this pattern following August 6th, making the 3 most attractive trades, obviously this reversal sell and this buy sell right here, or this buy signal right here, making those 2 trades off of the table. You would not have been able to utilize this pattern to predict those trades or to enter into those trades, meaning that your only setup would have been this purchase right here and potentially this sell right here. Okay. And this was a pretty tight, you had 3 days to buy. Okay, great. You had 3 days to buy. You had 3 days to sell and make a 10% profit on average, which means if you're looking at the breadth of the movement that you get, you probably get on average about 5% of the movement. You generally get about half to 60 to 70%, 80% if you're really, really lucky of a movement. Wally, thank you so much for the $10, my good man. He says, your channel is amazing with the free content, consistent presence, and offerings for the serious trader. Kudos as usual. Now about your old chair. Learn and don't get burned. Yeah, man, come pick it up, bro. You are happy to come down to CC Central, man. Love to see your face. In fact, it is behind the green screen right now, so I'll tell you what, man. Hit me up in the DM. I'm so behind on DMs. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch up on them right now. And here's the thing, guys. Just living my best life, you know. And that's something that, you know, some of my closest friends have taught me. I'm one of those. I'm a kind of person who always strives for perfection. Always strives to do his best. I always work really hard. I burn the candle at both ends. And you know, a lot of my life is, you know, I've sacrificed a lot of things that people take for granted. You know, I've sacrificed time with my family, and I've sacrificed, you know, relationships with my friends in my early years to be able to become a good trader. I think I sacrificed a lot of time, and that was mostly, again, living in those 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute candlestick patterns and trading price action, which I did for many, many years in Forex and equity and crypto, you know, and starting off in cryptocurrency as well. But I digress. That's why I trade the way that I trade now, because I've realized that life is precious, and if you can find a way to do what you love, but also maximize your time with your family, it's a very important thing to do. So just living my best life, guys. Now, kind of pulling this around to a more coherent place. So I don't think that this pattern would have been extremely helpful for you, except for potentially the potential generation of two trades that LTF PTP would have caught anyways. You have nice trending signals. Any decent trending indicator, well, to be quite honest with you, any decent trending indicator is going to get you in probably around here, maybe here, but this is, if you're getting in here, that seems like a very sensitive system. And then the short signal, you know, it's just been a very slow decline down. So last night, actually, when Bitcoin was down at its lows, I had told people in the group, I'm like, you know, I'm not going to be entering into a short, but if you are in a short, I would look to book some profits right now. I'd look to book potentially all of your profits, the majority of your profits, and put your stop loss at break even or set a trailing stop loss because the direction of the market seems quite uncertain at this point in time. And my desire to hedge and stay flat and wait for a strong signal, I think is really strengthened by where Bitcoin is at overall in this pattern. And the only reason I point this out is not because I feel that this has predictive capabilities, because all this is showing you is the range, right? This is just showing you the range of where we're trading in. And again, you don't need an indicator. You don't need chart patterns to do that. Here is my volatility expander indicator. This is an objective, clear indicator. It doesn't repaint. It doesn't change its values. It is the same thing every single time. And it utilizes average true range to display what the trading range is. You know, and this can be used as a reversal indicator. This can be used as a trending indicator as well. But this is one objective way to trade reversals. And this is going to be a strategy that I'm rolling out for the premium members here shortly. But again, you don't need chart patterns to display the range. That's all that triangle is doing, is just showing you the trading range. And people, and this is where it gets really important. People who are calling it a bullish pennant are saying that a breakout is imminent. People that are calling it a descending triangle are saying that a breakdown is imminent. So there's no predictive power. There's no predictive power on future direction of price from any chart pattern. I don't care what it is. The statistics on this are pretty clear. Now, there is nothing wrong with using a chart pattern as a template for what the range is going to be. I don't have a problem with that. Support and resistance are real things. Diagonal resistance and diagonal support are things that do exist. One could argue to what degree or why they are formed, but they are a valid thing that exists. Levels exist. Levels are a thing. Now, you don't need to use levels to be a good trader, but you can as long as you can fit them objectively into your system. So I don't think that any of this information gives us good context or good predictive capacity for, is Bitcoin going to break up or is Bitcoin going to break down? For me, the answer is very simple. I'm staying flat until I get a clean signal, until I get a strong signal from PTP. Now, as I said, I would still honestly, I am leaning more toward my bearish posture. But that's why I'm not allowing my subjective thoughts about where price is going to go, about where price might go, to really interfere with my trading. So I think, you know, obviously, as I said, the move right now is to be flat, in my opinion. And we'll start going down to some LTFs and look at those here now. And then I also want to talk about the altcoin market. So actually, let's take an example. Let's utilize this and let's go talk about the altcoin market. Actually, let's flip over to FBTC, which I think is interesting and telling. As I've said, FBTC is always the leading indicator, I think, for altcoins. And now we'll pull open, we'll bring back our 30-period Donchian so we have some context. Now, here on the 13th, this is when, actually, excuse me, not the 13th, but the 14th, is when one would have gotten the long signal from PTP to take the trade to the upside. Obviously we took FUSD, but FBTC performing fantastically well. So the alt market is still into the morning hours. What's interesting is that I would say about half of the alt market gave back all of its gains overnight, and about half continued to pump. So the liquidity has just shifted, and we're starting to see the mid sats, as I talked about yesterday. What is the sector to watch for? The sector that hasn't pumped is the mid sats. The mid sats are starting to pump a little. And again, we're seeing the low sats and the large sats largely be brought down, with the exception of Bitcoin. To my point here. Now, let's see here. What did I want to point out? Pretty much overall, the phenomena that I wanted to point out was, with the exception of Bitcoin, which is really performing quite bullishly right now, is this concept of retesting previous resistance as support. And we have seen that on some of our alts that continued to pump. And these are going to be a lot of our mid sats. These are going to be, let me pull open my... So, we're going to see this in things like PO the last time I checked. Let's see if that's changed whatsoever. We're seeing this in things like PO. We're seeing this in things like Lend. Seeing this in things like Lend. Now, these are fairly low sat coins, but again, about half of the low sats, half of the high sats or large sats, they capitulated, and the other half continued to give some nice bullishness. In fact, we're seeing incredible bullishness still out of some of these low volatility sat coins. While the other half, again, have mostly given back their gains. So, now one thing that I want to look at was FUSD, because FUSD, interestingly enough, FUSD prior to this move into the upside had actually looked weaker than the others. But actually, as of right now, as we've gone through the rest of this morning, has given back most of its gains. Or reverse that. Has reclaimed most of its gains. So that's pretty interesting. I think that if we do close pretty strong today, and Bitcoin just stays nicely where it's at, then this will be largely a continuation of our altcoin pumps. And I'll look for re-entries on the coins that are valid tonight. So my strategy now would be, if this is how the days are going to be closing for the altcoins, would be to focus on shifting my liquidity into the mid sats, because the mid sats largely haven't pumped yet. And again, I caught a lot of the breadth and span of the low sats that did well over the last 3 days. So the next market, the next sector class to really be looking at is the mid sats, to be entering into them and to get good entries on those. And it's just kind of interesting to see that movement, from the market. So potentially, maybe we are looking at something a little bit more positively bullish on the altcoin market. But again, this will make sense. Let's go talk about trade psychology. So I got a question last night from one of my students. We'll focus on this. So the question was, and this is germane because we're on the Ethereum USD chart right now, and his question was, his message to me was, and again, I'm reposting with his permission. This individual says that he was upset that they did not enter Ethereum on the 13th of September when their strategy told them to. Now they are upset that so they're upset because they didn't follow their strategy and enter when they should have. And they were looking at the chart last night, wondering if they should enter because it looks bullish. or if they should wait for a pullback, and asking what my advice would be. And my answer was, well, part of your strategy should be developing a rule that says when is too late to enter into a coin and how long is too long past the signal to enter, right? When you have an objective trading strategy, when you have an objective trading system, a systems trading strategy, you need to have rules, and they're just rules-based systems. And one of the rules should be how far is too far, i.e. how much momentum is too much momentum. So, for example, if we go look at something like Lend here, for example, let's go look at something like, let's go find one of these big pumpers. CND would be a good example. Yeah, like CND would be a good example. You know, like let's say the candle was closing up here. Is that something that we should be entering into? No, of course not. That's too far away from the baseline by any objective standard. It's just too far away for us to be looking to enter. And we should know that. I mean, you know that objectively when you look at the chart. You know that, just huge, ridiculous candles is not sustainable. Even if you do get some continuation or follow-up, there are better setups and better entries. So, and I hope the message, and I hope a lot of people got the message that I was trying to convey yesterday, which is a lot of the altcoins are, as they sat yesterday, a lot of the altcoins, excuse me, a lot of the altcoins were past their optimal entry. Now, as I said yesterday, there are altcoins that are not past their optimal entry, and those are the ones that you should be focusing on. Jeez. Okay. Jeez. I'm going to cry on camera. You guys like that? See me cry just a little bit? All right. Don't focus. Don't focus primarily on the very large candles that you are looking at the chart and you're like, man, I wish I should FOMO in right now. Because there are other coins that haven't moved yet that are going to be giving you a better entry. Now, again, if part of your system is telling you to enter into a coin that is that high and your system tests well, then do that. I generally don't recommend it. And again, this can all be solved. There's no subjectivity. You just have to develop a rule. For me, that rule is quite simple. There is a certain volatility band that is above my baseline, and if volatility is too high, or if price is closing above that level, I don't enter. Price has just moved too far beyond. Now, that level is a little bit more flexible in cryptocurrency than it is in Forex, because cryptocurrency is inherently more volatile than Forex. Depends on the season, to be quite honest with you, but tends to work as a standard rule. Now, a little bit more nuance to this is I want to talk about this concept of I'm waiting for a pullback, because you hear it all the time. People are like, hey man, like let's take Ethereum for example right now. Like, if I were to come on here and say, and people say this all the time, and I think it falls again into that category of unfalsifiable language, which is Ethereum Bitcoin looks really bullish right now, so I'm waiting for a pullback, right? It's just price is too high, but I'm going to buy a pullback, right? Okay, that sounds logical, right? And people just say that all the time. But what that typically means is I think they are, when people say that, when people say it looks bullish, but I'm waiting for a pullback, what they really mean to say is they already believe that the chart is bullish and that the chart will be bullish if they see a bearish movement, right? Like what that means is the chart is bullish right now, and therefore I'm going to buy a pullback, meaning anytime price drops, it's still going to be bullish and I'm still going to be buying. Well, it might not be. It might not be. What if for example, what if your exit indicator fires and now you're in the midst of a pullback and you're sitting there with analysis paralysis wondering, wait a second, because that's almost what always happens. People want to buy the top. People either buy the top, then the kind of next progression is they're buying a pullback. They end up trying to catch a knife, right? Because they're like, I'm going to buy a pullback. And then when price finally starts dropping down, they're like, oh, this is the pullback I've been waiting for. And they buy, and then price keeps going down. And then maybe they dollar cost average, which is probably the smarter thing to do, or they just take the loss because they already had told themselves that this chart is bullish and it's going to be bullish no matter what, even if it starts falling off of a cliff, right? And I think that's a problem. That is forcing your analysis now, forcing your interpretation of the market conditions now into the market conditions in the future where everything might be quite different, right? So when you say you want to buy a pullback, you already believe that the chart's bullish. You really want to buy right now. Like you're looking at the chart and you're like, I kind of want to buy right now, in which case you should probably just buy right now. But you think it'd be better to wait for a better price, which is not a setup. And again, as I kind of alluded to with that previous problem, like what is a pullback to you? Do you have an objective measurement for a pullback? If you have an objective measurement for a pullback, then this becomes less of an issue. So for example, we've talked about this before. When we're talking about pullbacks, you can have something like a fast EMA, right? So that the 8 EMA I find works very well for this. And typically that's going to be your pullback range, or you can use the baseline. We've talked about the baseline as a form of as a reversal baseline bounce, i.e. that is a pullback by definition, right? Especially if you have a strongly trending coin and you're looking to buy pullbacks. That is typically what you do in a bullish market. But this concept of when people say I'm waiting for a pullback, I have a big issue with that because that doesn't seem to work out successfully for most people because they end up either not having the courage to buy the pullback or they end up catching a knife. And I want you to just be aware that when you say I'm waiting to buy a pullback, what you really mean to say is, I wish I could buy right now, or I wish I would have already bought. You're already in that kind of FOMO mentality. And so you wish you would have got this movement, but you think that you will get the same movement if you just wait and buy price lower. But when price comes lower, you might be in a completely different market condition. And so it is not good, I think, to take your analysis of the market now and push it into the future, right? So that, again, buying a pullback is contingent upon the idea that price is bullish and it will continue to be bullish even when it comes back down. Might not be. You'll probably end up catching a knife, especially with altcoins. Now, so just TLDR. Waiting for a pullback means I want to FOMO in right now, but I think I'm going to wait and buy it cheaper, which, while that's better than market buying the top, it still means that you've already convinced yourself that the crypto is bullish and should be a buy, and it's not. So every buy you make should be an objective signal from your system. So rather than saying I'm waiting for a pullback, you should be saying I'm waiting for a signal. Okay. All right. So having said that, it's 12:34. I kind of close the chat because I didn't want to be distracted from that. So here we are at FBTC. Overall, FBTC looks really good. So, this is pretty interesting, man. This happened really quickly. We had that big down move from Bitcoin last night. Altcoins dropped precipitously, and altcoins moving pretty much back up in the morning. Not all of them, but a good number of them, and moving up quite volatilely on the heels of this down movement. So for me, I'm going to wait and see what the daily candle close looks like tonight. If we still are showing signs of strength, then I will feel that I think K7 Jixer probably made a very good point there. This is probably just going to be a stop loss hunt. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, my analysis on Bitcoin stands. I won't be making a movement on Bitcoin. I think that if this was overall a stop loss hunt in the altcoin market and altcoins are continuing to move up, and if we do have a good strong close tonight, then I'll reposition back into the altcoins that I think have the highest propensity to catch the next wave of movements, i.e. mid sats, although I'll also look out for low sats that haven't moved yet. And I will still continue to wait for a movement from Bitcoin. I'll still wait for a movement from Bitcoin. So, but other than that, still fully hedged, and I feel quite comfortable and confident in that. All right, so I'm going to scroll through the chat real quick, and then we're going to get into Forex. Crypto Live, I am from America. And so here's the thing, man. We don't have clear guidance on how cryptos are going to be taxed. So again, my accountant who specializes in stock accounting, the guidance that we've gotten from the IRS seems to be treating stocks just like, seems to be treating cryptocurrency just like stocks. So we're going to take that. We're going to take advantage of that to the maximum hilt until they are very, very, very clear. So some people are doing crypto taxation a little differently. And keep in mind, you only pay tax on profit. Okay. So you only pay tax on profit. And you can deduct losses as well. Now, but it has to be net loss. It has to be net loss for the year. But you can still, I mean, you can still add all that up, and it still pulls against your taxable burden. That's a question. Everybody like wants a clear answer for crypto taxation. It's just not that simple, man. It depends on what tax bracket you're in. It depends on what other investments you have going on. So I find a lot that my investments or the tax write-offs that I get for giving to charity, for example, which doesn't do a whole lot for it, but does a little bit. The investments that I have structured, for example, that I've held for a long term, some of the real estate that I have going on, a lot of that helps offset tax burdens that I have from my trading. It's a plan that I've set up with my accountant, and it's just really difficult to give people a crystal clear answer on taxation. What I can tell you is that I still don't understand like why people make such a big deal out of crypto taxes. It's not a big deal. The tax burden is relatively low, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it's annoying. Like it's money that I have to pay out of pocket. But when you're a consistently profitable trader, I don't find that taxes, I mean, it matters, right? If your profits are such that paying taxes on your profits make you unprofitable, then that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, it can if you're measuring gross loss, gross gains. But if you are finishing in the net positive every year, okay, if you are making money every single year, consistently, right? Consistently every month, then you're just going to be reducing the amount of profit that you have by whatever your tax burden is going to be. I.e., your tax burden should not take you into the negative because it's a percentage. But this is something that people, taxes and where people are sitting, that's a question that people need to get a qualified accountant for, sit down and examine all their investment decisions and have very clear answers for that, how they're going to do things. Because my solution is probably not going to be the best solution for you because I don't have the same investments that you have. It's not just as simple as just cryptocurrency taxation. K7 Jixer says, the Bitcoin triangle pattern I've drawn has the recent dump bouncing off the top of the upper line. Resistance turns support. So bullish sign for you. Yeah, and that's pretty congruent with what most people are, how most people are viewing this, yes. Could some head and shoulders in altcoins, Tron as an example, predict a Bitcoin bullish breakout from the triangle? So looking at bearish chart patterns in altcoins. Let's go take a look at TRX. So I don't see a head and shoulders on Tron. So are you maybe talking about this like real LTF pattern? I don't think so, because I think as long as if Bitcoin remains sideways, I think we'll continue to see liquidity flow into alts, right? I was expecting, again, as I said, I was expecting a large movement from Bitcoin to disrupt the altcoin movements. Really wasn't expecting to get such a quick recovery, but it's cool to see. Chair sniffer. Come on, Justin, make us that moon indicator. It's called Minx, man. Works pretty darn good. But there's not a holy grail, man. Only trading on IDEX, QNT, and VIDT. Yeah, man. Got to stay away from those taxes, brother. And the only reason I got, kind of passionate about that is because it's a complicated topic, man. I'll have, again, one of the things that I want to do is bring on my accountant. He said he'd love to come on and give a talk about cryptocurrency taxation because, that field is still so murky, man. The reason why is because the IRS hasn't told us what the hell to do. So, in his opinion and my opinion, then, hey, we're going to kind of use a little bit of our own discretion, man. Don Piano, why did I change baseline? I talked about that at length. I probably talked about that for a cumulative total of about an hour over the last week of streams, because the EMA 13 requires you to trade a certain way that I do. And I don't think that that's very conducive to either newer students or people who are watching on the stream who have not gone through the system, who don't understand the course, who don't understand the way that I do things, to get more benefit out of what we're doing here on stream. Hey, Justin, one of the many other people out there talking about crypto mentioned Link as a possible big mover. What are my thoughts? Link's one of those FOMO coins, man. Link was one of the best performers last year. I'm actually on Link right now. Link was one of the best performers right now. Am I interested in longing it right now? No, not at this point in time. We're below the daily baseline. So this kind of fits into the mid-sat category, as I talked about. This is a mid-sat. So this is the sector that hasn't had that same bullish expansion as we've seen from the higher volatility, lower sat coins, and some of the stronger coins that have a larger market capitalization, like the large sat coins. So we're talking our Bitcoin Cash, our Litecoin, our Ethereum, et cetera, et cetera. But again, I just devise everything by sat. So in that same large sat category, you have Dash, you have DGD, you have Bitcoin Gold, you have Decred, you have Neo, you have Rep, you have Monero, Zcash, Zen. And you can see that we already had really nice movements out of those for the most part, especially Big Daddy Wang Wang Neo over here. Bitcoin Gold, not so much. I think I'm pretty much done with Bitcoin Gold. I mean, I'll trade it if it gives me a signal, but overall, it's pretty lame. And Dash, Dash, one of the better performers, honestly, of the high sats after Ethereum, of course, our top dog, and Ethereum and Litecoin bringing up the backs. Now, BNB, I'd actually bought at $20. A little bit of interesting thing about BNB. I did draw this trend line back here. I just connected these 2 points. So this is super predictive, but this is December 2018. I talked about this on stream just a little bit, where we did come back down and retest that, kind of faked it out a little bit, but this isn't the most exact. But again, I was kind of interested to be looking at BNB. And BNB is one of the coins that I hold in my portfolio. Are they trolling you with these patterns? Most likely, man. Yeah, rendering unto Caesar really sucks, man. It really does. Yeah, it really does. Caprica asks, is the Minx indicator good with other assets? Yeah, a lot of the guys are using it for Forex. It works good on stocks too. And does it perform well at a slower EMA setting for fewer trades, such as say the EMA 30? Yeah, one of the cooler settings that I actually like is to use linear regression and a wider time frame. So you're getting a very nice dynamic centered oscillator. That's very smooth, works very nicely on the daily or on lower time frames as well. Steve C. Minx is not public on TradingView. It is on TradingView, but you do have to be a member of the group to have access to Minx, to have access to Quadrigo, the baseline indicator, volatility expander, which isn't actually published yet, time transformation, and QPS. So this is Quadrigo ATR. Let's see here. How do I define a mid-sat coin? 0 to 100 is a low sat. 100 to 1,000 is a mid-sat. 1,000 is above is a high sat. I'll give to Caesar when I see him. TradingView blew my watch list. I don't know why, but every time I save any ticker on my watch list, after some time, they're disappearing like a ghost. I don't know, man. Maybe they want you to pay them more money. That's never happened to me, but that's odd, man. Just throw them a support ticket, man. They got like one guy that works in there, but he does respond to you. Okay. Let's look at Link. Okay, what do I need to see for Link? I need to see Link above 18,839. So I doubt today, maybe tomorrow, we'll get a long signal. We are getting a long signal from Minx right now, and we are getting confirmation from Wadatar Explosion, but for long-term trending, it doesn't look good. Let's go to the weekly and kind of look at this from an investment standpoint. On the weekly time frame, let's get rid of the Ichimoku. Let's bring back our CC EMAs. So we basically did have a nice bounce off the weekly 55 exponential moving average, which has pretty much been the floor for Link's Bitcoin price ever since October 2018. So it's pretty good to see. Obviously, Link had a pretty big run up moving into 2019, or I'd say the middle of 2019, as did Ren, for example, right? And these kind of fall into the same category for me. But we've seen about 2 months, about 2.5 months of nothing but a massive pullback. Melted through all our other weekly EMAs like butter. We are now getting that bounce off the weekly 55. And we're kind of in this jaws of the crocodile, right? Between the 55 EMA, the 21 weekly, the 13 weekly, the 8 weekly, with everything kind of curling down. Now, obviously, our weekly 55 is still curling up. However, should that level get validated, I don't really see anything stopping us from going down to 90.64. So this is an area on the chart where I don't think this is a screaming accumulation point for Link. I would like a screaming accumulation point for me would be that $9,000 area. So what I need to see from Link is a breakout now. I need to see a breakout. And I need to see the EMAs basically. So I need to see the 13 and the 8 EMA fake out the 21 EMA is what I need to see. So I need to see a breakout above, let's just say 19,379. We're pretty close. Currently price is trading at 18,460. So I need at least one more bullish week before I'd be interested in taking this for a longer swing opportunity on the weekly. Going back to the daily. Going back to the daily, let's get rid of some of these. Yeah, going back to the daily, we had this daily moving average cross under right here. We haven't actually gotten that on the weekly time frame yet. We haven't had the 13 cross under the 21, which, as I've talked about many, many times, is a bearish signal. We had the bullish crossover right up here, and this is when we wanted to get very bullish in the first place. And again, I've talked about this before. If you're looking for an initiator and you don't have one yet, you're going to want to go with the moving average crossover. They work, and I still use them for discretionary position sizing. I've talked about them on the Bitcoin chart for the weekly when we're moving into a long-term bullish trend and we're moving out of a long-term bullish trend. And that's the weekly crossover. That's the weekly baseline crossovers. RVN. RVN BTC is in that exact same boat. Let's go look at the weekly on Raven. Yeah, Raven does not interest me whatsoever. We had that weekly bearish cross under right here on the moving averages, and it's just been to shit ever since, man. It's just been to shit ever since. And you know, now interestingly enough, we have been getting our dollar cost averaging buy signals from time transformation here, and waiting for a breakout. Would probably give us an average entry somewhere right around here. Probably still be underwater if you're dollar cost averaging into Raven on the weekly, which is the better way to do altcoins. Yeah, but I need to see price. I need to see price above at least the weekly 13, so above 412, preferably above 475. Preferably above 475. Now we did find support at the weekly order block right here, pretty much the very beginning of the bullish expansion, beginning back in February. But that doesn't mean anything. You know, we're not even. You know, you could say that this support line is putting us in the jaws of the crocodile mode. Jaws of the crocodile literally refers to a specific area of in between EMAs, but in my terminology anyways. On the daily, again, right back in that rejection zone, breaking above the 21, but not the 55, breaking above the 21, but not the 55. I need to see that nice, nice weekly crossover right there. That would be quite telling for bullishness. Now, if we get rid of those and go back to the daily and look at our daily baseline, yeah, you could see the daily baseline gave us, again, did not give us a long signal on Raven because look, it was 1, 2, 3. It would have been 3 days past. So even, you know, potentially one could have taken that at 1/3 risk. They would be immediately exiting right now. Why? Because we closed back below the baseline. And again, this is just the second time that we've ran up against resistance and rejected. Need to see a nice clean break. And again, Raven falling again, and actually Raven would be a low sat. Or no, sorry, Raven is a mid sat. So Raven, with the other mid sat coins, it's like it's there. That's what I'm talking about. Like if you contrast this with something like which Doc, right? So Doc, we got about 70-80% off of Doc. We took this trade, we sold on this wick. And we entered into Doc when we should have, when we got the clear objective signal from Doc. Now the problem is, just we're kind of looking at what we were looking for here, test of resistance and, a higher low and then a retest. And then we got the fully confirmed long signal actually on this candle right here. Actually, we can delete that, sorry. But we entered on this candle right here on the 15th, and then we had a very nice explosive next day. So if we contrast that, and then we look at things like PO, for example, right? Where PO is giving us long signals right here, right? So what is the difference between this, we're coming up to resistance and forming that higher low, and then getting the momentum signal? Compare that to things like Raven, right? Compare that to things like Raven, where we have not formed the higher low yet, right? This is a test of resistance, a test of resistance. We need to form a higher low. Typically, that's the pattern we like to see. A second or a third test of resistance, a higher low, and then a bullish momentum signal crossing the baseline. That gives me a lot of confidence to take the trade. But again, just the bullish momentum signal gives it in itself. And Link, the exact same thing. Test of resistance, but without the bullish momentum breakout below the daily baseline. So what would I like to see here? If I was going to be bullish on these mid-sets, which I kind of half-ass am, pull back from this test of resistance, form a higher low, bullish momentum signal to the upside, take the trades, and we can get what we got with Doc out of these mid-sets. But most of them are just not there yet. So if we go to my mid-sat list, so we're talking about Civic, we're talking about Cardano, which we had already taken to the upside. Zem, not there yet, rejected from resistance. GNT, rejected from resistance. Poly, not even close. Theta, not even close. Power, not even close. DLT, maybe, I don't know. Some of the analysts in my group are watching DLT, looking for a good trade on DLT. And those kids are, I mean, they're on fire, actually. Da Vinci, Alex, First, all those kids are absolutely murdering it right now. Stellar Lumens, just kind of an insanely volatile pump. So just cheers to the hodlers. That was not a trade, not on the daily. Maybe on LTFs one would have caught that, but that one was for investors, guys. Remember, not every time there's a big candle, this is something that's very important for traders to accept. You can't have every trade. You have to have an edge, and that's going to give you certain trades. And so when you see a movement, there's no such thing for a professional trader as I want to FOMO in. You just passionately or dispassionately and resolutely look at that and you're like, oh, that wasn't my trade. Doesn't matter. Move on to the next, because you are looking for your trade. Why are you spinning your wheels trying to chase somebody else's trade? And guess what? Sometimes in the realm of altcoins, sometimes some of these big dumb movements, they're not for traders, man. They're for investors. Got to give those bag holders hope. OakX, not even close. ELF, not even close. NAV. Now, NAV looks pretty good. NAV might be a good long tonight, right? Storage might be a decent long. Kyber Network, this is one I talked about a week ago. FET might be a good long after tonight. RDN, not quite there yet. Wabi, not quite there yet. 0x, this is one that Scott had wanted to go into the other night. He ended up being right about that. Steam, not quite there yet. So you can see the big difference here. Bat USDT was a trade we had taken to the upside. So you can see a big difference here between where the mid-sats are starting to position themselves right now, getting ready for a movement to the upside, as opposed to the low sats and the high sats, which have already made a move and are either ending that move right now or potentially having a pullback. We'll have to see if these levels of support hold. Computer tech tutorials. Should one use an EMA or should one use a MA or a SMA for crossover size decisions? I think you should always use an exponential moving average for moving average crossovers. Now, there's a lot of different strategies on this. I like using EMAs. One very popular strategy is to use a faster EMA and a slower SMA. So that's a very popular crossover strategy. And that works pretty well. It's all going to come down to optimizing the links and the time frame that you want to trade on. And you can't get around that. I mean, this is a question that I just get so much, and they're like, what are the settings that I should use for this? And I'm like, it depends on what you're trading. You just cannot get around having to optimize every single indicator for generally the asset that you're going to trade. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you will be like, oh, hey, man, this is amazing. The wave trend oscillator on these settings works really good for Ethereum and Ripple, right? And but it works terrible on everything else. And then you'll find that, oh man, the RSI with this moving average length works really good on low sats and Bitcoin Cash, but not on everything else. You just can't get around having to optimize somewhat to what you want to trade, man. Loester says, can I look at Ren, my good man? Yep, I'll look at Ren, and then I got to do we got to talk about something, and then we got to go. Now Ren doesn't actually, so Ren's not there yet for me. It's not a daily PTP signal, but I will say this. Ren is one that my analysts were talking about this morning. I know they're pretty excited about it. So that's kind of my only opinion. I actually won't be excited on Ren until I see Ren above 639, which gives us a very long way to go. Just to let you know how I trade as a trader. On the weekly time frame, it does look like we're at pretty much the lows. So if one was looking to kind of accumulate a bag, I would say that this weekly candle right here was pretty telling right here. Obviously, we have a spike of volume, a spike of momentum. We have a very long movement down on the weekly time frame, and then you have a doji candle, which is often a reversal candle, and then you have a bullish engulfing weekly candle. So that's generally classically a very good sign. That's classically a very good sign right there on the weekly chart from Ren, which would give you, and let's actually take Ichimoku off and bring up our EMAs. And on our EMAs, we are starting to see our slower EMAs tilt up. Again, still quite bearish because we did move under and cross. So what are we looking at right now? We're looking at a reversal trade is what we'd be looking at. That is a reversal trade setup on the weekly time frame, potentially moving for that target of 632, which ironically is the same place, which is pretty darn close, 639, which is the actual price level that I want to see price get over before I identify a bullish trend. So, you know, the reversion of the mean trade is there if that is your strategy. And again, I think that target would most accurately be around the 639 level. But for me, I would like to see the bullish trend because I'm a trend trader. Which coins would I buy now for a longer term hold? Maybe 1 or 2 years. So I'm really hesitant about doing that. I've been pretty open with my portfolio, and I've added stuff to my portfolio. But you know, and I don't mind telling people, but it's just when you're an influencer like me, you know, people are making, unfortunately, investment decisions often about what I say. So I mention a coin and then people go and buy it. I don't want them to be upset with me, but because investing, I buy and hold stuff forever, man. I buy and hold stuff forever. If I don't do long-term trades like that, I trade, you know, I have quite my edge, the way that I pay for my bills, the way that I live, the way that I make money, is trading the daily time frame. Trading the daily time frame, occasionally trading lower time frames, systems trader strategy that I've developed, and I teach other people to do the exact same thing. When it comes to investments, I take portions of my trading profit every month and I invest in stocks, real estate, cryptocurrency, and precious metals. And also recently foreign currencies as well. I've started diversifying my currency portfolio and picking up alternative foreign currencies as well. So a little Forex investment. But you know, what do I hold? I hold pretty much the majors. I hold, you know, Bitcoin, I hold Ethereum, I hold Cardano, I hold EOS. I don't actually hold any Litecoin. I don't hold any Bitcoin Cash. I think Bitcoin Cash is trash. But I'm not opposed to trading it. I also hold Komodo and I also hold Neo. Smaller holdings that I have are going to be, there are some low sat coins that I have. Poe is actually one of them. I talked about that last night, actually. So, okay, it's 1 o'clock. We got to go to break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on in the market. We've got some current events to go over. We'll look at some more chart requests for you guys. And we'll bring back the music potentially. Is the music on? Okay, good. The music's not on. No problem, man. All right, so before we go to break, we need to talk about... What do we need to talk about? We need to talk about ByBit. So as traders, selecting our exchange is going to be one of the most important decisions that we can make. And I'm often asked as a professional trader, what exchange that I trade on. And I know it's kind of unpopular to do this lately. I know a lot of people are, but I genuinely trade on ByBit. It's the ByBit that I actually trade on. I traded on BitMEX for a very long time. I traded on Deribit, and I still trade on BitMEX. I don't actually have any capital on Deribit at the current moment, but I really like ByBit, and for one primary reason. They don't have system overload. I feel that their staff actually cares and is continuing to improve their system, and they have a fantastic customer service. So I've always talked about the 3 metrics that I use to evaluate exchanges. This is security, and when we're talking about cryptocurrency exchanges, you're going to get the same. If you're choosing a good exchange, you're going to get about the same level of security, right? So we've seen the problems with Binance. We've never had any issues with BitMEX. We never had any issues with ByBit, never had any issues with Deribit security-wise that I'm majorly aware of. But we had significant issues with a lot of these altcoin markets. So what I like about margin exchanges is the ability to utilize margin so that I can keep the majority of my funds in cold storage where they're safe. And I can use leverage to take the same position size that I would be able to take would I have all my funds on the exchange. I don't use leverage to over risk. I don't go 100 or 50x degen long or short because that's stupid. No professional real trader does that. LARPers say they do that. Mostly get liquidated. Ease of use. ByBit's super simple to use. They continue to add great features. They just added CoinSwap and customer service. That's why I use ByBit. They've got great customer services. So anyways, you guys can check it out for yourselves. If you guys are looking for an exchange to trade on, bybit.krakencryptocurrency.com. There's a link down in the description. Now, if you actually do use that link, you can go sign up at bybit.com. I don't care what you do. But if you do use that link, we do have a special offer for you. Till the end of September, if you deposit on top of the bonuses that ByBit will give you for registering a new account, if you use our link, if you deposit 0.1 BTC, ByBit will give you $60 as a trading bonus. And if you deposit 0.2, they will give you 110, I believe is the correct numbers. It takes about 72 hours to get the bonus. But if you DM them or if you hit their live chat, they'll be like, yo, man, chill out. We got you. Anyways, you guys can check it out for yourselves. ByBit.krakencryptocurrency.com. Link in the description. We'll be right back in about 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss a second. You don't want to miss what we're talking about in the second hour. What's up, guys? Welcome back. We're back in the charts. We're live. Okay. BNB seems almost like Binance stock to me. They work at supporting it. You know, I am very interested to see how good Binance US will do. I did, as I said yesterday, Binance US registration opened yesterday. I did register an account with Binance US. I did the account verification. I still am unable to deposit fiat. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if they're fiat. And to be honest with you, I'm not too interested in doing it. I'm not excited to like hop in there. I tend to wait and see what liquidity looks like and see if the market's good. And there's no assets on there that I would be interested in trading that I don't already have access to trade. Because everything that they offer, which is just the majors at this point in time, is going to be offered on the exchanges that I already trade on with leverage. And I would always prefer trading on ByBit at this point in time to Binance US. But we'll see if they add margin. What I do think is interesting is that they're offering the USD pairs. So I do think the Binance US market will be good for a lot of newer traders. I think it's going to attract American market makers. I think it will attract a lot of American retail traders. And being able to trade seamlessly from their dollar valuation to their crypto to trade cryptocurrencies from a dollar standpoint, to be sitting in cash, I think is really, really good. I think that's really good for a lot of newer traders. Newer traders in cryptocurrency think that they have to trade all these alt Bitcoin pairs. And when you're holding Bitcoin, you by default, if you are a sane person, now have to take into account hedging and short selling to hedge your positions and holding multiple positions. And it's just a little bit more advanced if you actually care about your dollar value of your portfolio. And unfortunately, I think that a lot of people who trade cryptocurrency have become kind of brainwashed they start trading altcoins. Everybody gets into Bitcoin for the same reason, right? I got into Bitcoin because I wanted to make money. Okay. Now, I support Bitcoin because I think it's a life-changing technology that can make the world a better place, and it's very congruent with my political philosophies as an anarcho-capitalist, as somebody who does not like the state, who wants to see the state smaller, and who wants to live in a more free world. But, and I don't think that a lot of these other technologies are in that same vein. Now, as a technologist, I find that a lot of these altcoins are very interesting technologically, and I think do offer a benefit to society, but not even close to what Bitcoin is designed to do, which is to not only bank the unbanked, but give the world a government hard, stable, hard currency. The list goes on and on. I've talked about this for hours and hours and hours. And that's why I support Bitcoin. But I got into cryptocurrency. I trade cryptocurrency to make money. That's why I actively moved from full-time trading Forex to trading cryptocurrency. I got in here to make money. And what is money where I live? Well, that's dollars. So people start off trading Bitcoin and then they get caught up. Generally, traders lose money. Most traders lose money. So now they're just sitting in Bitcoin and they get this like hodl mentality, which is fine. But that hodl mentality leads to making poor trading decisions. So you have to have that clear demarcation, delineation of I'm a trader or I'm an investor. That's why I have a Ledger Nano S and a Ledger Nano X over here, right? I put cryptocurrency on them every single month and I've never touched them. Never touched them, right? I've been dollar cost averaging into certain cryptos since I've been in cryptocurrency, right? Don't touch them. But my trading portfolio is to maximize USD value. And so sitting in Bitcoin when Bitcoin's bearish and watching my USD value go down is not something that I'm into. But newer traders, they get this mentality where they start losing money and they start losing Bitcoin And then they're just like, well, I'm just trading altcoins to accumulate Bitcoin. I'm sitting in Bitcoin all the time. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that's rational, logical trading. Okay, so I must be doing something wrong, Topher. Because if you already have deposited fiat, see, I've done both levels of account verification, but that verify fiat still hasn't popped up for me. Maybe it's different. Maybe it'll show up today. The United States has Kraken, Poloniex, Bittrex. What else? Why the need for another exchange? What is CZ thinking? Well, CZ's thinking that he wants to get, licensing fees for using the Binance name because it's a completely different entity. They're being operated by BAM Trading Services. So, I mean, exchanges make a lot of money. Who wouldn't want to get into that market? And this is something. Let's talk about this. Let's switch over to the Bitcoin chart. I'll talk about this, and we'll just do a little bit of motivational speaking, right? Do a little bit of motivational speaking, right? Here's the thing, man. And this is true as a trader, and this is true in everything in life. And this may or may not be, I think this is germane to what we're talking about. And this isn't to like ride CZ's dick or anything like that, but this is just how I feel. There are very, very few people who are going to tread absolutely new paths. And you can still be an amazing, awesome person and still be successful, not having to be that archetype of who you think you are. Most of us work hard. Most of us want to do really good work. And most of us will mentally talk ourselves out of doing something great that could make us successful because we think to ourselves, man, everybody else is doing that. So what, right? There are a lot of people. So my first business actually, I started my first business in college. It was called Wise Choice Organics, right? I went to college for entrepreneurial and diversified agriculture. That was my first degree in college. And so I started a CSA, so community supported agriculture, which is basically it's exactly what it sounds like. I went around towns and I got people to sign up for a subscription service. And every single month I would deposit vegetables onto their doorstep. Now, I originally started this out just growing tomatoes and peppers with one of my classmates. And we tilled up his whole backyard. He had a very large backyard, and we grew peppers and tomatoes. And we found a broker at the largest city in my state's farmers market. So he was a broker for us. So we could just sell to him in bulk, and he would do the work of selling in small quantities as a vendor, and he would obviously make the markup for selling the small quantities. And we would just know that we had a reliable source to sell in bulk to, which was our cash cow or our bread and butter. We also got some contracts for restaurants. We got some contracts for small stores. Now, here's the thing. When we moved into canning salsa, there are a lot of other people canning salsa. Right. There are a lot of other, especially now. This was 10 years ago when the organic movement was just kind of getting popular. But there were a lot of people even at that time that were making like small batch salsa. Right. Who cares? Mine is good. And people will want to buy mine, even if there's 9 other kinds out there. Right. Now, when you get into, well, how can you stand out? How can you market your product? That's just marketing, man. Every single human being has a valid story to tell. Every single human being is unique. And you can sell your story and you can sell yourself. And it doesn't matter if there's 50,000 other people out there doing the same thing. You are unique. And if you just try hard and work hard, you will find people who will support you or buy your product. And if you are ethical and you do good work and you care about your clients and you care about your customers and you care about the quality of your work, it doesn't matter if you're not doing something unique, because you can do something that everybody else is doing your own way, and that's okay. So don't let the fact that, well, other people are already doing it, don't ever let that hold you back, because it doesn't matter. You have your own story to tell. You have your own way to do things. And it doesn't matter if you start out, if you're not really doing anything unique, right? Just start out, start working. You will find what defines you. You will find your way to stand out in whatever you want to do, whether that's trading or public speaking or YouTubing or or selling tomatoes or selling peppers or whatever, man. It doesn't matter. And the same with CZ. American exchanges, man. Do you, CZ? Do you, CZ? Do I have a video that goes over dollar cost averaging? Not really, man. Not really. Not at this point in time. I got a lot more trading crypto 101 videos that I want to work on. And something that I'm working on right now with my team is right now we're re-upgrading. We're going to be working on re-upgrading the Discord for our premium members. I'm going to be adding some stuff and streamlining some stuff, kind of adding in some new material. I want to get done the current material that I'm working on, get that all polished up and finished. I also need to, there's some new quizzes that I want to write for the existing coursework because it's a course, so I want you to be quizzed. Let's see here. And then I'm really going to focus on the Trading Crypto 101 and also potentially maybe change the format of the live stream up a little bit. I want to just communicate ideas better to you guys. Why BNB for a long-term investment? Because I think that CZ is a smart, intelligent dude, and I think he kicks ass at making money. And I think he's going to do everything in his power to keep the value of BNB up and attract investors. And him stepping into the US market is another sign of that. So I think, plus the technicals of BNB coming down to weekly support, I think. I'm not going to say BNB is a screaming buy because I don't like to do that. It's not a PTP signal. It's not a trade. But BNB is in my portfolio. And based on where we're at in price, I've recently re-added. What is the best platform to trade altcoins? Binance. By far. Binance. Do I think the opportunity to trade crypto will ever go away? Absolutely possible. Of course, we have decentralized exchanges, but you can shut down the servers. Anything can go away easily, man. If the government, if nation states around the world really want to band together and say, fuck crypto, crypto's gone, man. Did I see the Bitcoin stamp? Nah, what do you mean? What Bitcoin stamp? I just wanted to point out we got the 15-minute sell signal right here. We got the if you're wondering on the 15-minute chart, could have caught this long signal right here above the Kijun. You get the long signal from Minx, and of course, Wadatar Explosion confirms on that candle. You could have rode this all the way up. You would have been taking. Let's go back to Quadrigo ATR. You would have peeled off some profits right. You would have peeled off some profits right here, actually, on that first initial move up, and you actually would have held until right here. So very good trade on the 15-minute chart. You caught that. Minx actually got you out early. Minx crossed under right at the very top, interestingly enough. Great work from Minx right there. And yeah, no trade right now. All right, movement up, sideways consolidation. We'll see if we get some continuation, in which case you'll take the continuation trade right here, or you won't do anything. BNB can shove their KYC. Yeah, Mr. Ether, I'd love that, man. In fact, Mr. Ether, dude, I'd really like to, we'll talk. We'll talk, man. Like, we've talked a little bit in DM, and I've tried to be like, yo, man, like, let's talk a little bit more. And you're like, yeah, I'm busy, man. Like, just too busy to like do stuff. Teasing you, man. But yeah, hit me up, dude. I'd like to work together, or maybe shoot some videos together, or even have you on the show, man. Check my Twitter for the stamp. At Ether Hodler? Is that Ether Hodler? Yeah. This right here. No, we haven't gone over LTC yet, Steve C. Gonna need you to let me know what I'm looking for, my brother. Which one? No bokeh? Oh, Minx. So the reason, Minx isn't a publicly available indicator. Minx, Quadrigo ATR, Quadrigo QPS, the baseline indicator, volatility expander, which is not actually available yet, and time transformation. Those 6 indicators, which are part of my trading system, excluding Wadatar Explosion, JC Ichimoku, which are publicly available. You have to be a member of the premium trading group. Link in the description if that's something you're interested in. All right, I think Mr. Ether fell asleep. Moving on. We've got stuff to go over. We've got news to go over. I'm actually not going to switch over to the news scene today. I quite like the way that the chart, I quite like the way everything looks. So we'll start off with, I wanted to talk about Wells Fargo yesterday. So, obviously, you guys are familiar with Wells Fargo. They are based in the United States. They're a banking giant. They have announced that they have their own internal settlement service, very akin to the JP Morgan coin that JP Morgan announced. And they have dubbed it Wells Fargo Digital Cash. Now, this is running on their first distributed ledger technology platform. They announced this on Tuesday. The company has stated that the service, this DLT in-house settlement service, will improve operational efficiency. This will allow them to have longer operating hours and, quote, real-time, end quote, processing of payments. Now, this will also, they say, allow Wells Fargo to settle internal cross-border payments across its global network of corporate clients. The pilot is projected to launch next year and expected to complete USD transfers initially before it adds support for multiple currencies across their international network of branches. So this is, this, by the way, is why I think that things like Ripple will have trouble getting off of the ground. Because Ripple wants to be this interbank remittance service. But what I don't think Ripple understands, and although I think that they have a lot of investment capital, and I think that they're getting a lot of their money from dumping on the market onto XRP hodlers, but I digress, is because these companies like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo are just going to adopt the same concept. They're already established banking giants. Why? I don't see why. I don't honestly see why. I think you're going to have a tough sell selling normies that they should go buy Ripple and use Ripple when they can get the same instantaneous settlement and cross-border transaction from Wells Fargo. That you can't sell them on decentralization. You can't sell them on be your own bank. You can't sell them on cold storage. You can't sell them on centralized manipulation of the currency because Ripple can do that. You can't sell them on any of the things that you can sell people on Bitcoin. It's easy to sell people on, well, it's not easy, but you have an argument when you're saying to, when you're telling people that they should use Bitcoin instead of a bank. All right. You can talk about inflation. You can talk about government hard currency. You can talk about decentralization. You can talk about, inflationary supply or inflationary plans. You can talk about, being your own bank. You can talk about all these things. None of those arguments hold up when you talk about something like Ripple or any of these other things that their only purpose is to be if your selling point, I think, is a cryptocurrency, is to be a fast, quick digital currency. I don't think that I think you're going to have an extremely uphill battle because we're going to see these large corporations and banks just incorporate the same technology that makes you special in the first place. And they've got the branding, they've got the money, they've got the market, they've got the stock, for the love of God. So I don't see, you got to bring something unique. This is why Ethereum is unique, Bitcoin is unique. A lot of these projects are unique. EOS is unique, Cardano is unique, in the services that they attempt to offer. Ripple is just trying to be a better interbank settlement system, which doesn't make sense to me because these banks can just adopt their own forms of DLT technology. So I'm sure that I'm just going to really trigger the XRP army out there, but these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts. So, Kui's Kingdom, that's a good question. I mean, you are correct. Ripple could hypothetically be a medium, an intermediary between these two different bank coins. But let me tell you something. I haven't worked in finance for a while. Bankers are very elitist. Banks move slowly. Banks have an aristocracy mindset. They're very, they are not going to allow, I'm not going to say they're not going to allow, they are not going to engage generally with some new kid on the block who wants to usurp their market power. I think all of this talk about like banks adopting Ripple, I think it's nonsense. They're just brain raping Ripple so that they can develop their own technologies. Because if Ripple wants to be the intermediary, the banks are going to build the intermediary. They're the bridge builders. But hey, I'm willing to be wrong, man. I'm not really interested in investing in Ripple, and I think that Ripple has a lot of systemic issues based on what I've talked about. This is, I try to be pretty consistent about my criticisms of cryptocurrencies. A lot of cryptocurrencies out there, I think, are pretty much nonsense, but there are some that I see them and I really, really like them. And again, so I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm an altcoin minimalist. I see room in the space for both, but I think there is an outsized argument for me on what can Bitcoin do for society? What can a lot of these altcoins do for society? The banks would rather trust each other or build their own intermediary solution than trust Ripple. I guarantee you that. Because I'm telling you, man, like these banks, they have an aristocracy mindset and complex. They would rather, and banks trust each other, man. They're just they've got a knife behind one hand and a handshake out with the other. They all know the game. They're all looking for market share, especially the larger commercial banks. But again, my take on gold and silver, I love it. I buy gold and silver every month. Okay, let's do, this is pretty interesting. This is a new report from Noble Insurance, and this is this is titled "The U.S. Crypto Market: the Hacker's Haven." So let's scroll down here a little bit. So there will be a link to this in the show notes. So this new report reveals that a large majority of American investors in cryptocurrency are the thing that they are most anxious about, more than volatility, more than regulation, more than taxation, is losing their assets. So this study that they just did found that 65% of American crypto whales, and the way that they are defining a whale are individuals with over $50,000 worth of digital assets, admitted to being, quote, very concerned, end quote, about the loss or theft of their digital assets, which is valid. I mean, a lot of people don't take security seriously because a lot of cryptocurrency traders are running around with a couple $100, right? When you are, when you get a six-figure account, which is, I think, should be the goal for everybody, because once you get to a higher five, $100,000, that $100,000 is something that you can live quite comfortably off of with a systems trader system, right? You can live quite comfortable. I mean, you can do a lot of damage with $5,000, $10,000. I've talked about this before, but that's all the on-ramp you up to that $100,000. Six-figure account you can live extremely comfortably with, right? Because you're grinding out that percentage over time. If you're locking in 3 to 5% consistently every month, which is absolutely possible in cryptocurrency, compounding interest is the ninth wonder of the world. So interestingly, this study found that smaller players in the space, those holding under $1,000 in crypto, as indifferent towards security and took a very casual attitude toward the security of their holdings. And why should they? As I've said many, many times, I think that is the wrong mindset. If you have $1,000 in cryptocurrency, you should treat it like it's $1 million. And that is how you grow your portfolio. So there's a student, there's a regular viewer of the show. And Paul, I know you're watching right now, but Paul, he is a young guy. He doesn't have a lot of money. He's listened. He's watched the show regularly. He was part of the group for a while. He's grinding. He's working his butt off every single day to be the best person that he possibly can and working on his trading strategy, taking it very seriously, being disciplined. And he started off with $100. He's treated that $100 like it's $1 million. And because of that, he's seen himself with consistent gains every single month. And now he knows, he has the confidence that as he starts scaling a larger portion of capital into the market, he knows, because he's disciplined and trained himself, to protect that money, to keep it secure, to treat it seriously, and to trade it properly. So many people just want to, so many people in crypto are like, man, I just got my paycheck. I'm going to throw $500 on the BitMEX. I'm going to go degen long. And they wonder why they're not making money consistently, right? Start with $100, develop your system like we teach in the group, and prove to yourself that you can make 3 to 5% a month consistently over time. And then you'll feel very confident putting 1,000 in, and then 10,000, and then building that up to 50,000, and then taking that 50,000 and going to 6 figures, and then telling your boss to fuck off and trading full time. You got to put in the work, man. Got to put in the work. So this report concludes that exchanges represent obviously very attractive targets for hackers based on their enormous holdings of digital assets. We've created these centralized honeypots for hackers. And as custodians in a position of trust, all efforts should be made toward ensuring accountability and prevention of cybercrime, was their takeaway from this report. Now, this report then goes on to suggest that the wider crypto community is lacking a fundamental, basic level of cybersecurity awareness, and that we really need to focus on educating end users so that they are more informed and capable of securing their assets in a space that is ripe with fraud. And this is something that I try to focus on. One of the first webinars that I ever made, it's still part of the premium webinar series in the group. It's a tutorial on BitMEX. And in that tutorial, it talks about how to set up an exchange account properly. First step, go to protonmail.com, create a fresh email account, okay? Put two-factor authentication on that email account. Only use that email account to register for your exchange. Register that exchange account with your new email address. Put two-factor authentication on that exchange account. Never use that email for anything else. And if you're logging in with a VPN, always log in with a VPN. You should always log in with a VPN anyways. Cogito ergo zoom. Hey, you're a whale, brother. Welcome to Vladimir's club, my man. Now I want to jump down to page 14 of this report. Here we go. And we've got an 8-point guide here to cybersecurity as recommended by Noble. And they say, first off, be aware of phishing sites. Phishing is probably one of the most common forms of hacking, or how people fall prey to losing their cryptocurrency. Here are my personal recommendations. They say always check whether the website address is correct. So my recommendations, number one, never click on links that somebody sends you. Okay. If you want to get a little hardcore, like I have a VM, VirtualBox. You can if you're running Windows, you can just go to Windows and download the media extraction tool or media creator tool. I can't remember what it's called, and create an ISO of your current install. Or if you want to run Linux, you can obviously go download the architecture for Linux for free, or Android for free from all the websites. That's all open source material. Download VirtualBox and create a virtual environment that you can open up spoofy links from. That way your computer doesn't get infected with malware. That's what I do with stuff that I'm unsure about, or if I'm looking at a zip file that somebody I don't know is sending me, I open it in a virtual environment. Now, that's going to be, honestly, for most users, a little bit above their level of where they're at with cybersecurity. But just be aware of phishing sites. You should only be going to the main site. Something simple that you can do is, download Brave Browser and run Brave Browser. You can create a profile for Brave Browser. And in that profile, you only do cryptocurrency things. Like, for example, I have a computer, it's behind me, and that computer is only for trading, right? That computer is always on a VPN, and I only do cryptocurrency stuff on that computer. I don't do anything account related on this streaming computer. I do analysis and I stream from this computer, but I've never logged into an account. I never will log into an account. Digital security, man. Keep my footprints clean. And that just keeps my security valid. Bookmark the websites that you go to regularly, especially your exchange sites, and don't store passwords, somewhere where you can easily have them taken. HTTPS, log in only to secure websites with a valid HTTPS certificate. Don't log into exchanges that use HTTP. Make sure it says HTTPS. That's a big one. Use a secure Wi-Fi connection. I recommend running a hard connection. But if you're going to be using Wi-Fi, never do anything cryptocurrency related on public Wi-Fi. Never, ever, 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 ever do it. Never, ever do it. Separate your funds. Don't keep all your crypto assets in one place. Don't create a honeypot. This is exactly why I keep the majority of my funds in cold storage, and I use leverage accounts to trade the correct position size. Use two-factor authentication. Always use two-factor authentication. Whitelist IP and withdrawal addresses. This Coinbase automatically makes you do this if you have a large account, but you should do this for all your cryptocurrency exchanges. You should whitelist if you have, say you use Electrum as a hub to send funds back and forth between exchanges. Any exchange, any account, any address that you're going to be withdrawing to on a frequent basis, whether it's your cold storage address, just enable whitelisting. Whitelist the IP that you're going to regularly be logging in from. This becomes a little difficult if you are logging in from a VPN, but it's something that you can do if you get a static IP. And enable whitelisting for withdrawal addresses. Absolutely. Otherwise, if your account gets hacked, they can just withdraw anywhere they want. Always double and triple check your addresses. To be honest with you, I generally scan the first 4 digits and the last 4 digits to make sure it's a valid address. But it's not too many characters. Just read the damn thing. Make sure it's right. It only takes a second. And their last one is use security measures you can handle. It says some people never feel secure and go to the furthest links to secure their cryptocurrency. Strive for an appropriate balance between complexity and security. Again, go get a Ledger Nano, keep your funds on there, deposit money onto an exchange, set up the exchange account the correct way, and don't click on spoofy links. You should be all right. A lot of this stuff, if you just set things up the right way and you just trade the right way, and this is what I think gets a lot of people in trouble. A lot of people who lose funds are trying to trade these lower time frames, scalp these lower time frames. So because of that, they're always like, oh, I got to act now. I just saw a chart blow up. I know I'm at Starbucks and I should never log in to BitMEX, but fuck it, I'm going to do it on Google Chrome. Oh shit, I forgot my VPN. Oh my God. Blah, blah. Nonsense, man. Dedicate time when you're going to trade, when you're in the zone, when you're in the pocket, develop your system, and practice, man. And then don't trade outside of your system. This is why, some people come on here and they're like, oh my God, you mean you're not going to take this 15-minute trade on Bitcoin? You must suck, man. You don't know anything. No, I'm disciplined and you're not. Generally, maybe you're disciplined, but I don't trade the 15-minute time frame, but the daily. I'm disciplined. That's not my trade. They got John Podesta by phishing. Turned out his password was more or less password, though. Yeah, he's talking about sending his Bitcoin through a Tumblr. Okay. Now, following on the heels of that story, I mean, it's no wonder that the largest concern of whales in the cryptocurrency market is having their funds stolen. Again, not regulation, not taxation, not what Justin Sun just tweeted, not if Bitcoin's going to moon. So the CipherTrace Q2 cryptocurrency anti-money laundering report has been published, and it estimates that thefts, scams, and hacks in the cryptocurrency industry could exceed $4.26 billion, That's Billy with a B. This year alone. We're not even to the end of the year. Now, while the report details that cyber criminals continue to innovate and attempt to thwart even the best and latest in cybersecurity, using blended methods of SIM cloning, phishing, URL hijacking, and increasingly insider assistance, the majority of the losses calculated can be contributed to exit scams. Coins or projects which raised money from investors via ICOs before dissolving and the money disappearing accounted for $3.1 billion of losses in their 2019 to date capitulation. Now, beyond that, the report also details how Bitcoin is still the dominant currency of the dark web, as well as malware and ransomware crimes, with an estimated 76% of all dark web transactions completed with Bitcoin and 98% of ransomware crime settled with Bitcoin. So basically all that means is that hackers know damn well what coin is valuable and which coin they want, and that's Bitcoin. People are not infecting the city of Philadelphia with ransomware and saying, give us all your HOT protocol, man. We need that Hydro. Let's go. Load it in the bag, sir. Load it in the bag. You'll get the government computers back. Pretty sure I've never seen a ransomware that says, quick, give us all your Ripple. Never seen it. Could be wrong. I don't know. You guys tell me. Pro Krypton, no problem, man. Thanks for joining. And our last story of the day. And this is something that I kind of want your guys' opinion of. Do you think that crypto is competitive with gold? So a Barrick Gold executive says, no, absolutely not. So Catherine Raw, she's the North American chief of operations of the largest gold mining firm in the world. Just one moment. It's not letting me sign in, unfortunately, which is frustrating. Do a new way. Anyways, Catherine Ross, she's the North American chief of operations. Barrick is the largest gold mining firm in the world, Barrick Gold. And she said, surprisingly, that she does not think cryptocurrencies are competitive with gold. This was reported in Fortune magazine on September the 18th. So she made her remarks on Tuesday at Fortune's Most Powerful Women International Summit, where she stated, the very tangible... Oh, man, I had some really smarmy jokes just pop up there. I spent too much time going down the MGTOW wormhole. The very tangible nature of gold is what keeps a special place for it. So it will always have value, whatever the price is. I don't know, but it will not be zero. Whereas cryptocurrency could be zero. That's the difference. Yeah. Your sacred cow is dumber than my sacred cow. The report points out, though, so long as gold is being used for jewelry and electronics, the assertion is it is guaranteed to have some value. That said, Ra also admitted that the phenomenon of cryptocurrency is here to stay. So this is kind of an immortal argument in the realm of cryptocurrency. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that cryptocurrency is below gold? Do you think that crypto and gold will coexist? Do you think that crypto is superior to gold, or do you think that they're, I don't know, maybe some other options? Maybe you got some Hydra 8-legged tentacle observation to talk about. So let me know what you guys think. Interested to hear your opinions. Topher says, gold is seriously silly, in my opinion, but I still own a hunk. RC says, some bragging miners here on YouTube have been hacked to zero. Keep holdings a secret. Yeah. Jake says, been waiting all day for that Ripple low blow. Thank you, sir. Well, I try not to disappoint, man. Goblin Moblin. Hey, I haven't seen you for a while, brother. He says, I think crypto most definitely competes with gold, especially because the younger generation sees Bitcoin as a store of value that is a market hedge, whether or not it actually is. Yes, I agree. They'll need the thump around tables. Does Craig Wright account for half of the theft? Would not be surprised if he was, good sir. Darn good portion of it, man. Although future gold markets will likely trade and settle on crypto-type networks. Ooh, what if it's the other way around? What if future crypto markets trade and settle on gold markets? Dun, dun, dun. All right. Getting back to Bitcoin, in a little bit of a bearish posture coming off of this large wave to the upside. Would expect to see a little bit of a pullback, at least here on the lower time frame charts to the 99.72 level. It's where I'd like to see price come back down to this 15-minute baseline. Just looking at this chart, looking for a continuation signal. We are kind of moving into a little bit of a consolidation pattern. Could be reaccumulation, could just be distribution at this top. Almost very similar to, honestly, kind of a fractal of what we've seen on the daily time frame. So I would be out of position. If one would have taken the long trade on Bitcoin, I would be out of position right now and waiting for a breakup or to refill around 99.72. On the daily time frame, no action to be taken. We are in a bearish posture, to be quite frank with you, but we are also 4 days past the original short signal, meaning this is a non-valid trade. Got bought back up, so this is an area where I would like to short from a higher price. And again, as I alluded to earlier, that is unfalsifiable to say. What I really mean to say is I would like to short a short signal that is valid pursuant to my system, and I am not getting one at this point in time on the daily. I expect, barring anything dramatically crazy, right? Because there are rare situations where I'll step in and act with discretion. But barring anything super crazy, fantastic, awesome-o, I do not expect that I will be taking action on Bitcoin. If things remain this way and we continue to get this posture on Bitcoin, I will view largely this movement as a stop-loss hunt, not on Bitcoin. I don't think that's a stop-loss hunt on Bitcoin because stop-loss hunt denotes that we're going to pump up. I don't really think that we will, but we could. But as a stop-loss hunt to kick people out of altcoins, I'll most likely be looking to enter into some mid-sat coins this evening. Now, I'll probably be looking to exit in a couple days, pop in for a couple days, pop back out, and just kind of slowly ride this altcoin season. It just depends on what signals we get and how long this movement becomes sustained. Gui says, hey, Justin, what's an okay profit factor for you from bad to acceptable to okay to good to excellent? Well, so sorry, I had to bring back the chart here. Okay, so let me reread your question. He says, what's an okay profit factor for you from bad to acceptable to okay to good to excellent? So if you are getting your actual, if you're getting your actual profit factor, right? If you're getting your actual realistic profit factor, i.e. you are analyzing your actual, like basically the records that you're going to give to your accountant or that you're going to utilize for your tax purposes at the end of the year. And so you do have your total gross profits or your net profits. I like to do net profit factor. So you have your net profit and your net loss, right? And your profit factor is going to be the difference between those two. So, if you made $5,000 in net profit and you lost $2,500, then your profit factor would be 2 to 1. So you would have made $2,500 in profit that year. Now, it's my personal opinion that you need, obviously you need a number greater than 1. But the thing is this, I mean, profit factors can be a misleading concept because what really matters, in my opinion, what really matters is if you're profitable. Now, I know professional traders that have a low hit rate and have a relatively low profit factor. I know some professional traders that do not have a profit factor over 2. But it doesn't matter to them now because at the end of the year, they're making good money. But again, if we were to be objective and just looking at what most would consider and what I would consider like good strategies, 2 would be okay, suboptimal. As soon as you start getting above 3, you start entering into great territory. I think the best profit factor strategy that I run has a 5.3. So Sashay away. I'm not sashaying away. But it is about that time. Oh, I see. You guys thought I was doing the... You guys know me so well. You guys thought I was doing the end of day wrap up, which I will be doing here in just a second. Now, here's the thing. I wanted to talk about... let's talk about that EATA oscillator that I was asked about yesterday. So I downloaded... I booted up my VM and I downloaded the MQ4 file. And I'm working on... writing it into Pine right now because I now am kind of interested by that. So I'm now kind of interested to do that. Bitcoin currently has the advantage that 99.9% of people make no distinction between a nano ledger and a USB. Hell, even a vape and a ledger nano. What is the difference, sir? You tell me. They look the same. All right, let's go look at Ethereum, Bitcoin. Again, good bullish movements up from the last of our alts. Still trepidatious, but I will be looking at our mid-sack coins for good entries. Excuse me. DLT potentially. Potentially ELF, potentially NAV, potentially storage, potentially FET. Potentially Grossel coin, potentially Aeron, potentially ONG, potentially Engine, or Enigma, excuse me. That was Enigma. Potentially ARC. Not Link, not yet. Potentially Ontology. We'll see. We'll see what the daily close brings us. Potentially Omisago. Potentially Lunar. Potentially Qtum. We'll see. We'll see what the daily brings us. Let's go look at our low sats. See how they're holding up. UNDX. BitTorrent token is showing signs of bullishness. O is still looking quite good. It was fun. WPR. PHB is throwing up a reversal sell signal. Singles. DNT looks decent. I think that DLT was one that I was interested in. TNT is performing well, so is Data. I would be hesitant to grab some of these low sats today, but we'll see. We'll take what the market gives us. Yeah, man. Like you've seen those, you got it, Gui. You got, like, those Coca-Cola cans that are like secretly like, you could put your weed in there, man. That's what the vape is. The secret Legio, man. Hardware wallets on smartphones, what kind of solve that for noobs? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Scott, they're both battery operated, therefore the same. Yeah, let's start yeah, that's a great idea, Goblin. We'll start a company for integrated vape hardware wallets, right? Catch somebody, just chilling on their vape. Be like, yo, dog. Yo, man, get that bottle of juice. Dink. There you go. Scan that QR code right there. Got you, man, on the blockchain. 10 minutes till settlement. What are my breakout entries for this 3-month triangle consolidation for Bitcoin? Thank you. Going back to BTC on the daily, for me, it's a clear PTP signal. We're below the baseline. So I want to see us closing the daily above 10,142 at this point in time, with a green Wadatar column above the explosion line and the dead zone, and Minx also signaling a long signal. And we have neither of those right now at the moment. Whoa, man. Don't be knocking my vape. I don't have it programmed on here, but apparently you can plug this into the computer and download like your own layouts on there. But man, you got an MP3? So you're saying that your vape is already integrated like first gen iPhone technology? That's awesome, dude. Vaping or crypto outlawed first? Vapes, probably, but I think that if vapes get outlawed, it's going to be for a brief period of time until the vape companies can get bought up by the tobacco companies, and then the tobacco companies will lobby for vapes to get re-legislated. They'll start kicking money back up to the government, and then the vape companies will come back in. That's why I just went out and bought a box of juice. So it is what it is. Yeah, my vape accepts Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum. All right, man. With that being said, guys, the day the vapes became self-aware. Yeah, it's like Mario and hitting it and bomb on when there's no addy. Yep. EA, as in like the game company, or are you talking about an expert advisor and MetaTrader? For those of you who don't know, an expert advisor is what so MetaTrader is a trading platform. It's a dinosaur, but a lot of people like it. But what in TradingView, what is a strategy tester in MetaTrader is called an expert advisor. It's an auto trader. In Soviet Russia, vape inhales you. All right, guys. It's about time to do that thing where we just shimmy on over here. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Of course, I have been your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst at crackingcryptocurrency.com. I hope you guys go on to have a fantastic day. TLDR, neutral on Bitcoin. Continue to be tentatively bullish on altcoins, and my focus will be on the mid-sats as we move into this evening. But again, be cautious. Don't be buying something when it's past your entry. Clear, objective signals. That is the solution to defeat FOMO, and that is the solution to defeat unprofitability, in my opinion. Think long-term, not just now-term. Listen, if it's alt season, then you'll have plenty of time to get in. There'll be plenty of pullbacks and continuation trades, all right? If it's not alt season, then you are not going to be missing out on much by waiting and not buying the tops of what might be short-lived pumps. So trade your system and let your system do the work it's designed to do. Okay, and leave all that subjectivity and speculation for your dating life. Okay, because you just never know what they want. Now, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, or death threats over that last potentially anti-feminist comment, leave them in the section down below, and I will try to respond to you within the next 48 hours. And you will also be entered to win 8,000 Spectre security coin. You guys have been awesome. Tomorrow, we'll be back here tomorrow at noon p.m. for the exact same thing, breaking down the markets. Make sure to join the Discord over at discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com if you're not already in there, to keep the conversation going when we're off air. It's as much about the community and the conversation in the Discord as it is about what we do here on the live stream. And that is where people, I think, are getting the most help, who are trying to do what we do on this channel and with our lives, improve themselves and build a better system to trade with. All right, guys, I'll be here tomorrow. I've been Justin. You guys trade safely, and we'll see you tomorrow to crack some more cryptocurrency. Have a good one, guys.